Welcome all to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. The weather's always fun this time of the year, can wreak havoc on our homes, lead to water damage, sometimes fire damage. The water damage can lead to mold issues. If you have any of those problems with your home, no worries. They won't be a problem for much longer. Just give Water Cleanup of Florida a call, 954-579-0356, 954-579-0356, or check out their website, wcufl.com. If you mention 5 Reasons or Lubie, you get a free inspection during business hours with over 60 years of combined experience between Michael, Robert, and their team. The fact that they have licensed contractors and are available to you 24/7, any problem, be it water, fire, mold issues at your house, won't be a problem anymore. Again, Water Cleanup of Florida is where you want to go to eradicate those issues, give yourself some peace of mind, allow you to know that you're in good hands and those problems won't last any longer. Reach out to them, 954-579-0356, the website, wcufl.com. Also, socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Water Cleanup FL, Water Cleanup of Florida. They clean up your schmutz. It's been schmutzy for a long time with the Miami Dolphins. Today we continue our excitement for their upcoming season as finally some football is this week. Yes, it's not even preseason. It's the Hall of Fame game, which means you probably won't see any starters at all in the action, but there will be teams that have NFL jerseys on fields leading to the preseason, which is next week, leading to the NFL season, which is in this month. I think later this month, early next month, you finally see NFL games. So we're excited to talk a lot about it today here on the show. We also talked with Leslie Visser as we said goodbye on our morning show to Bill Russell, who was an idol of Leslie's and also a dear friend. We also talked with Leslie about the Miami Dolphins, as she's been down here in South Florida, cover the Dolphins for years, been involved with the Dolphins. She has been involved with a lot of coaches. She gives her take on Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins as well. Today on the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Mike McDaniel, who is a complete polar opposite from the prototypical head coach in his approach. And I'll say this, Lubie, I mean, I kind of like this about, not to get too deeply into Dolphins training camp and the meaning of what's going on right now when guys are just running around, as they always say, cliche goes, in shorts and a T-shirt. But that being said, this is a huge departure from what we've usually seen from these Dolphin downtrodden teams where they're afraid to say, hey, you know what, I think we're going to be really good this year. I mean, what's wrong with believing that? Nothing, right? You may suck, but at least if you believe that you're going to be really good, you're in there with a half a fighting chance, no?
Yes.
And they have reason to believe that they will be good, but I do enjoy this new sort of not just enthusiasm, but almost embracing the idea that we're kind of putting it on ourselves here. We think we're going to be a really good team this year, and they're out there sort of celebrating that idea early on in training camp, which really is a huge move away from what we had when it seemed like Brian Flores wanted everything to be super subdued, because he had no personality. I mean, maybe he has a great personality, but he certainly didn't show any. It wasn't like he was Joe Philbin, like completely vapid, like you weren't sure if there was a person in there. But he just seemed angry, didn't he?
Yes.
Brian Flores, about everything.
Yeah.
Every question irritated him. I mean, out of the Bill Belichick school of press conferences. Yep. And yet it sort of cast like a little bit of a downer pall, I thought, over the whole franchise, which, was exhibited by the fact that they would get off to horrendous starts every year and then surprisingly rally. In spite of the fact that you're thinking that this guy is sending, he's kind of like the trainer in the corner that's always screaming at the guy, well, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? You kill him. And you're thinking the guy's in the middle of a fight. Give the guy a break. I mean, your screaming hysterics, I don't know, are really going to help him realize that, he needs to double up on the jab. I'm not sure. Yeah, the football on the horizon here, Lubie, and I am intrigued by all of this. They're making a big deal. I saw 1,000 clips of this. Same pass that Tua threw to your man Tyreek Hill, 60 yards in the air. Now, as I could perceive, I mean, from the video, there was nobody guarding Tyreek Hill when he hoisted this pass.
There was
nobody
coverage.
defending.
Yes, there was. He was in tight coverage, and he overthrew him, I think on purpose, and Hill ran under it and separated from tight coverage to catch the ball in stride. Yeah, there was coverage.
That one pass in practice has motivated people to the
Oh, yeah.
idea and the concept that the Dolphins are indeed Super Bowl material.
Oh, I
That
mean-
is one of the great things about training camp and training camp videos, training camp results, training camp coverage, training camp analysis, is that, it's all to extremes, much
Oh,
like political opinions are these days, complete extremes. Either the team is going nowhere because a guy dropped a pass in practice, or in this case, they are showing that like it was Marino to Duper. I mean, unbelievable. Like it was Joe Willie and Don Maynard in the 1968 AFC Championship game. 69, I guess it was.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was, one play in a practice session. It appeared to me that there was no defense. I didn't realize there was actually
there was
some
a defender
defenders that he shook off.
Yeah, there's a defender there.
I do like, a couple of the concepts, though, that they have coming out of the Dolphins training camp, which, is much more of a modern mode of thinking and modus operandi. And that is shorter practices. Try and run what you're doing at full speed. This is Mike McDaniel philosophies that he is displaying here with the way that he's running the team so far. And, kind of practice like you're going to play.
Yes.
And then don't overdo it. And no reason to just be hanging out there. Now, the other thing that I've noticed, and I don't know if they're just eliminating all of the bad passes that are being thrown by Tua Tagovailoa with local news coverage of the team or whatever you're seeing on ESPN, but this guy throws a dart. I mean, he really does.
Supposedly,
Like a perfect spiral.
he threw into Waddle that was like 30 yards in the air in stride. Look, it's practice. That's the funny thing is it's the same thing. When it comes to the president gas, I don't give him credit when it goes down. I don't give him blame when it goes up. With this, it's practice. Like, I expect it's only to be good. You're not getting touched. So if it's bad, that's why they blow up the bad. But again, things happen when you're trying new concepts, so maybe a quarterback and a receiver are off. Like Zach Wilson supposedly was horrendous the other day, but I'm not going to say, well, you need to get rid of him. He looked horrendous in that camp. Like, what do you like? They're trying new things. You're going to have mistakes, and if he looks great, it doesn't mean he's going to win the MVP. You know, like it's
also day to day.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. Like,
you're saying that Wilson was horrible, and yet the article that I
maybe he was great the next
kind
day.
of glanced at it today in the New York Post was that Wilson is already happy that he's living up to the high standards he holds himself
That's
to.
good. It was like Thursday that they
things
were
are going well.
slamming him, so maybe Friday he had a great day. I don't know. I don't care about any of it. I just think it's interesting, the ebbs and flows. Like, you're right. Like, it's either that one pass we saw where Hill had to turn around and catch it like a punt, so Tua needed to be kicked off the team. And now this one pass, it was thrown so far in the air that it actually overthrew Hill, and now he's the greatest quarterback. Like, to me, it's somewhere in the middle, and I think that's what we'll see. You know, like, I think he's a good quarterback, and I think he'll show strides, and I think McDaniel, look, what I like about McDaniel is that he, as much as he wants to be happy-go-lucky, fun guy, he doesn't shy away from any questions. Like, he's not Flores. Like, he answers everything with a well-thought-out, specific answer, which is the thing people in our business have been yearning for. Like, a guy that actually gives a crap enough to respond and wants to get, it's like Shula in a sense, where Shula wasn't mad. What was it? What Tony told us, like, when news came out, Shula wasn't scared of the news. He just wanted to know. Tell me, and I'll confront it. Like, McDaniel wants to get out in front of things. It was like Flores was hiding under a rock a lot of the time, and he just wanted to, like, not know. He just wanted to keep going. Football.
Angry. Always seemed angry. The press seemed like a public nuisance to him. And look, as we've said many, many times, what are the people that are writing about the Miami Dolphins or any team for that matter? What are they doing? They're giving you free and just endless reams and hours of promotion.
Yep.
And so, if you're trying to sell tickets, it might be good to, at least have some open avenues of communication with these guys. No, McDaniel handles himself very well with the press. Low-key, but seems to be giving you like an honest opinion, even if it's a little bit existential, and you're thinking, what did he say? So is that guy going to start or not? Right? Are we talking about all kinds of bizarre philosophical principles? No, I mean, he doesn't overdo that aspect of it. But Flores always seemed to be edgy and angry. Joe Philbin had nothing to say, even though he was very open and seemingly honest. But when he did finally tell you what he was really thinking, you thought, my God, how is this guy the head coach of the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Flores, you thought he could be the leader of men, and you thought he could be a head coach. I just wondered if it would work in this era and how long it would work in this era.
I wasn't sure about Flores ever. The remarkable thing was that his teams won at the end of the season after being horrible at the beginning. So you would think that was some kind of testament to the idea that the guy, was a coach that somehow is delivering a good message. Because, when you're 1-7, the odds that you're going to win 8 of your last 9 games.
Oh, no.
What were the chances of that? No matter how fluky they were, how close they were, how funky they were, it wasn't like the Dolphins blew you away and you said, wow, that's a really good team. But they won 8 of their last 9 games after, you talk about peeling yourself off the mat. When you're 1-7, you sort of develop that sparring partner mentality.
Yes.
That no matter what you do, you're going to, as we talk about all the time in some of these individual sports like tennis, where it's remarkable how many times that the upstart has a chance to knock off one of the real mainstay type of championship players, and they're serving for the match, and they lose that game. It's the only service game they lose.
Yeah.
Right? And you're thinking, how is this possible that the guy, in that moment, but it's a little bit of, that's why they're not number one, and why, a guy like Djokovic can hang in there against anybody, and no matter what's happening, finds a way to scratch out a victory. But there's a lot to be said, though. If you're the Miami Dolphins, and look, that year that they were just getting rid of guys, any guy who made a decent play was gone by that afternoon.
Like, no.
Maybe sometimes by halftime. Yeah. And they literally, were holding tryouts in the parking lot there. There was Chris Greer going, okay, let's see you run a ball now.
Yeah, so Flores definitely deserved.
They were signing guys that were doing those little things they have outside the stadium, where they have those stupid activities where you throw a football
in the parking lot.
Try to, throw it through like a, little.
The NFL experience.
Circle there, yeah. NFL experience. Yeah, they were signing guys out of that. And the guy still won 4 or 5 games at the end of this. What did he win? 5 of the last 9 at the end. Of his, went 5-4
that first year. Yeah, and and they were trying to lose. They were pissed. Literally, like we found out, they were pissed that he was winning.
I couldn't figure out though. Look, I usually see any team. You've been watching sports your whole life. If you're a fan of this show, and you're watching sports talk, shows in general, and involved in that. You can usually get a feel for what a coach's style is. No, after at least a reasonable period of time, you could sort of pinpoint, okay, this guy likes to do this in certain spots, or this is his style. He's aggressive. I couldn't figure out what Flores' style was.
Not on offense.
Could you?
Not on offense. That was my
offense.
That was the thing.
Impossible.
At the end of the year, people were high on him. They had gone 9-8, and he wasn't fired yet. And I was like, I don't know what to do with him because their offense doesn't get better. So I don't. Yeah. And he keeps messing around with coordinators. Like I just never understood it. But at least he presented himself like a coach. Philbin was just like, what? Like he would literally praise every game. He would praise the opponent. Whether the Dolphins won or lost, he'd be like, well, that was a good team we just played. Dude, you won. Like, what? They've won 4 games. What are you talking about, Joe? Like, what is going on? Like,
poor Smoking Joe, man. I don't think he was misunderstood. He really was a very decent human being. I was at the press conference when he was being introduced. I guess it was sort of like an after, they had the press conference and then they had like a little party. And I remember doing a show from there.
We were at home still, yeah.
Yeah, this might have been prior to. Were we working together? Yeah, I think we were.
Yes. We were the home. We had the Dolphins. Remember, that's when we would still go and do these fakakta broadcasts and like 815.
Did a lot of fakakta events that, were meaningless to help promote the team. And Philbin didn't even come on the show. I was set up there at some banquet that they had, dinner that they had at the stadium as they were introducing Joe Philbin. And I remember seeing a guy, and I'm looking, and Don Shula had this line about Jim Mad Dog Manich, but for other reasons. Where if you asked Don Shula about when he first saw Jim Mad Dog Manich, and Manich would verify this, Manich shows up in a Volkswagen bus, with flowers painted on it and hair down to his shoulders, which was pretty uncommon for guys on an NFL squad at the time. You didn't see a lot of that. Maybe, Joe Willie was a forerunner for that. But, people were shocked. Like, what's this guy with a Beatle haircut doing out there on a football field? I mean, look, his hair is coming out the back of his helmet. And Shula looks at Mandich and turns to a coach that's beside him and says, "That's our number one pick." and that's what I felt when I saw Philbin walking through the room there. I was like, "That's our head coach."
You're such a nice guy. But...
Assistant? Yeah, okay, nice guy assistant. One of those guys you could go to and maybe get some information about the team, right? Hey, Joe, are we really going to run the ball 60% of the time this year? Yeah, but look for that, Defo. Nice enough guy, though, man. I'll never forget that when I thought he was going to chew us out after he suggests to us, so I hear you have a nickname for me. We're like, oh, shit, I felt like Jim Rome sitting at a desk with Jim Everett, right? Like, I thought he literally was going to hit me over the head with a chair, speaking of Ric Flair. And it turned out he dug it, man, being called Smoking Joe Frazier. I mean, Smoking Joe Philbin. We had songs about him, all kinds of stuff. And still, I'll never get over it. I mean, it was talk about training camp experiences. I don't know that I've ever had anything like that, where the entire defensive coaching staff does an impression of the Defo show.
Yep.
Including a guy who does you.
Yeah, that was great.
Was,
that was
amazing.
Early days.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was our early days, too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
When Gase was one that we were sort of fooled on because the people from Denver liked him, but quick on in his tenure, you could tell he was sort of weird. Like, I don't know, this guy's just different. There's something about McDaniel. Maybe we just longing to have a coach that we like because it's been such a long list of weirdos.
Either that or he's one of the great con men of all time.
I don't know.
Like one of those guys that really has no idea what he's doing on the job and has convinced people that he knows what he's doing. Which, and look, the Dolphins were all in, supposedly. I mean, the story goes, and people seem to have some kind of verification of this, that they were all in, ready to give Sean Payton like $20 million to coach the team for like 4 years or whatever it was. Not even, what was it? It was going to be like $20 million a season or something, $100 million they were going to give this guy. And wanted to have Tom Brady as their quarterback, an aging Tom Brady. Talk about Ric Flair. What if Brady turns into Ric Flair in that match this year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Is that even remotely possible, Mike Lubie Lubitz, that Tom Brady, after we've been predicting this for the last 10 years, starts to show signs that he's a completely shot fighter and ends up signing with the Live Tour himself just so he can cash a paycheck every week? What do you think?
I don't see the Live Tour thing. Look, I've been waiting for it for a long time. I feel like this is the year. And him losing his center, which will probably be for most of the season, can't be good for them. Like, offensive line's always the most important thing for any quarterback, especially Brady. Brady doesn't want any contact. He doesn't try to run. He doesn't try to sit back there. He gets rid of it quickly or he goes down. Without their center, who's a Pro Bowl center, I think that should affect their line. I mean, they have every skill position guy under the sun, but if you can't block for him, then I'm expecting this year to see him finally show his age. But we've said that for, like you just said, a decade. So
well, we've been saying that for 10 years here and writing this guy off. And, he still, statistically last year, he was excellent. And, as you said, Libby, obviously the key to any quarterback's demise would be excessive pressure. But Brady is especially affected by pressure. If you can get, any kind of penetration into the passing game up front by the defensive line, you got a pretty good chance to beat Tom Brady. Can we bring her on, the lovely and talented Leslie Visser? A lot of change around the National Football League, including what seems to be an infusion of enthusiasm on the part of Miami Dolphin players. Have you met this Mike McDaniel? And if not, I mean, we know that he was successful as part of Shanahan's staff in San Francisco, seemed to have some ideas that were innovative and certainly is an odd departure from the typical NFL coach. Have you met this guy or had a chance to talk to him yet?
I've been in a room where he's spoken, but I haven't spoken one-on-one with him. But he reminds me of, remember Mark Trestman, how interesting Mark Trestman was? That's kind of who he reminds me of. I mean, he's very interesting, remains to be seen. But I think it's great for Tua that it's an offensive coach. It didn't really work with him having a defensive coach.
No, and we were saying earlier, and, I've said this before, I never really could, you can kind of sense what a coach's style is. I never really got a sense of what Brian Flores was trying to do offensively. I mean, maybe he felt like he didn't have a team that he could pull off anything that he really wanted to with. But I never really had any kind of sense of what this guy was trying to do. It was a very hard offense to figure out.
Well, you don't see many defensive head coaches now. It's gone largely toward offense. So, but I've gotten to know Brian pretty well. His story is astonishing, right? Stepping over heroin addicts,
Yeah.
In where he was raised. So I think as a person, he's very unique. And there's a guy who stood up for what he believed. But I think maybe his best efforts are being a defensive assistant.
Yeah, maybe so. And he comes to town here with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, in October. So a lot of interesting stuff on the horizon. But it's nice to see. I mean, you've been around Miami a long time to actually see some enthusiasm coming from the Dolphins players about the upcoming season as opposed to the usual, well, I don't know, we got to beat the Bills.
Remember the last billboards we saw about football was when on 95 was when Greg Schiano was trying to recruit Miami players for Rutgers.
Look, it's been a lot of sadness down here when it comes to the Miami Dolphins. Been a lot of frustration, a lot of insecurities when it comes to the Miami Dolphins the last 20 years. It's funny, my first half of my life, the Dolphins were a contender every year. They never won, but they were a winner. The last 20 years, that is not the case for the Miami Dolphins. But this year, going out and getting Tyreek Hill, going out and getting Armstead, going and having Tua be definitively the guy, bringing in a young coach who is considered a savant when it comes to offense and fully behind Tua, plus having a defense that was one of the better defenses in football and bringing it back fully intact and adding an Ingram as one of the better edge rushers in the league to that defense. There is definitive excitement for a reason. I know here we want to talk about the Heat because they've been the one winner. The Dolphins were that before the Miami Heat, and it feels like they're trying to be that once again. Defo, myself, are really excited for this season. I think you all will be too, as we see more from camp and we see more from what Mike McDaniel and the staff is going to bring. It seems like a new day for the Miami Dolphins. It is a new day each and every day with us, 7 to 9 in the morning. Just look up South Florida Live, The Defo Show with Lubie, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, all those things on Google, YouTube, or Facebook, and you can find us each and every morning, 7 to 9. The Lunchbox is 12 to 1 each and every day on South Florida Live. Check us out with our exclusive national content podcast, The Believe Network, BLEAV.com. Search After Hours. And here, most days, our South Florida content, The Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.